Hey yo, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? So the long-awaited DLC is finally here. Daima Adventure Through the Demon World Part 1 has finally arrived. Let's go ahead and dive into it and see if this DLC was worth the wait or if it's something that we could have just did without. So by now, I'm sure you've watched the Daima series, whether on Crunchyroll in the original Japanese or on Netflix in the English dub. And the story is pretty straightforward. All the Z fighters are turned into children. Dende is kidnapped and taken to the demon realm. They have to journey to the demon realm to rescue Dende and also to turn themselves back into adults. And this is where the journey begins. Now, once you start venturing out, you'll realize that it's nothing but a big desert as far as being in the demon realm. Your mobility is limited. You can't fly. So all you can basically do is run and jump. But the thing about it is that your jumping isn't really high. So it kind of restricts you as far as how you obtain or how you are able to obtain higher grounds and areas in the demon realm, which basically locks you to the path in which they've designed for you to reach these higher levels. Upon exploring, you'll come across different things like dinosaurs or mini dinosaurs instead of wolves and deers to hunt down for meat, or instead of having pterodactyls in the air for dinosaurs, you'll have like these flying dragons, or you'll have land dragons instead of Tyrannosaurus Rex and things of that sort. Or if you're looking for D medals, they're now covered in this glorious box, which I think is cool when you're doing your key search to have this glow that is around them that really stands out to be easily identified. So in the Daima DLC, we get Medibugs instead of Senzu beans, and we get other kinds of insect bugs as well that take place of items that are found in the regular game. And I think that that was kind of a creative switch up. Now, while in the demon realm, the most common enemy that you'll come across are going to be these guards. It's either going to be the guards or bandits or thugs or just simple demons that's just out and about as you're exploring. So you're going to fight them over and over and over again. And at some point, it does kind of get a little tedious, but it's not bad because it does get better. And I think that's primarily because of the combination of the support characters that you have with Goku. Like, you have one that's primarily there for attacking, and that's going to be Goku, right? The character you're playing with. And then you're going to have Glorio, who is there for like stunning. That's what his electricity and lightning does. And as you level him up, he's going to have other abilities as well. And Supreme Kai actually offers healing. Instead of having to use a Senzu bean or a Medibug, she can offer healing that can be upgraded to do a significant amount of health restoration during the battles. And you'll even have Pansy that'll be joined in as a support character as well, but you don't control her. She's basically set to auto and does her own thing during the battle. And this is where the combination really comes in to make this exciting. So because you're throwing in so many horde battles or battles with bandits, you're going to do this a lot. So I think it's important that we focus on the ground combat that we actually have in this game and how they really took it to another level from DLC 5 and DLC 6. Now, because you're going up against bandits and hordes, as I mentioned before, Goku has well thought out and carefully selected moves by the developers, and I really appreciated that. So because you're going up against large numbers, he has moves like Solar Flare that affects more than one opponent, or he has that staff move, I can't think of the name of it, but it attacks multiple opponents, very similar to the move that he uses in DLC 5 and DLC 6. In the midst of battle with so many different opponents, it can be overwhelming because you're getting shot from the left, hit from the right, and this, that, and the other. And this is where the support characters really come in handy at, with Glorio and his lightning technique that's able to freeze multiple enemies or stun them rather, and Supreme Kai that will literally bind them like what they did to Gohan at the martial arts tournament where they were about to absorb his energy. Like, all of these things really work well together. Or Pansy coming in with her homemade grenades that are either poisoning or causing some type of lasting effect on the opponents in which it hits. Like, all of these things work very well together. Being able to jump in the sky and turn Super Saiyan was something I definitely wanted in DLC 5. We didn't get it in DLC 6 because they didn't add transformations into ground mechanics, and now we have it. To be able to jump in the sky and do a transcending Kamehameha or a spirit bomb, right? It really sets the tone and see just how much more advanced it has been. And I think by adding all of these things together, we get a really solid ground mechanic fighting style that is suffice enough without having the ability to fly. Or being able to move around freely and throw key blasts rather than having to stand there and kind of throw them and make yourself vulnerable to attacks. This gives you more freedom during the ground play mechanics, and I really enjoyed it. And the last little detail, that blue ring that's inside of the perimeter with the red ring, if you run against it long enough, you'll be able to escape the battle, no longer being stuck to basically finish out these ground battles. Now, shifting over to the map, seeing that they created a completely different world in the Demon Realm, I expect it to be a little bit larger. Now, I know that there's a part 2 that's coming out, and that one's going to include the other areas that are blocked off in this map, but I expect it to be a little bit more than what it was, and this is kind of what we got. So it wasn't bad, but I did expect it to be a little bit larger. So going from point A to B on a small map really isn't that bad, but not being able to fly really put a hindrance on it, because you still have to basically speed run to get wherever it is you want to, and this is where fast travel comes in handy. Whether it's through the seed things or the actual spaceship that you acquire or obtain at a certain point during the story, which makes it a lot easier. Now, while you're out there exploring in the Demon Realm, you'll come across these Demon World rumors, which are basically like flashback cards that we've seen in other DLCs and in the main game as well, but they also come equipped with a cutscene, which I thought was a nice addition to it as well, explaining a little bit further about what it is that you've just acquired. And the soundtrack was pretty good, though I would have liked something a little bit more adventurous while I'm playing rather than the songs that they've selected. A couple of them were pretty solid. So another thing that you'll notice while you're exploring and you're out with your characters, which is basically Glorio and Supreme Kai as support, and then you have Pansy as your guest character, you'll notice how they interact with each other, and the voice selections for each character I thought were very well done. Even though they're adults but they're in kid bodies, their voices are very energetic, and Glorio comes off as the adult here in physical form, right? Because he is, and he sounds like it, so he stands apart. But they all interact with each other throughout the entire open world experience, from going from one location to another, so you never really feel like you're playing a solo game or you're by yourself. I definitely give Bandai Namco a thumbs up in that area. As you come across villages, you'll see that they're pretty heavy populated, which I think is something that's good. This game does a really good job as far as making them feel like people live here instead of it being desolate. You do the regular buy and sell, activities or transactions with different shops and different people. But the question I always had was, why does all or majority of the Demon Realm people sound like country bumpkins, like some back neck of the wood type of deal? I thought that was pretty funny, man, but maybe that's how they depict the demon world. Also, coming across these villages, you'll find certain side missions that are located in here. And while we're on the topic of side missions, they weren't really interesting. It wasn't really a lot of them, to be honest, because this DLC was so short. And then on top of that, the DLC side missions were very mid. It was only one that really stood out, and that was a rematch battle with the Tamagami. Other than that, I don't really care or really remember what the other DLC side missions were. But that was the one that really stood out and definitely is worth your time. Now, to finally speak on what we've all been waiting for, the boss battles and the cutscenes. The boss battles and the cutscenes is what Kakarot is really known for, apart from an open world game. And this is where it doesn't disappoint as well. Playing against the Tamagami or Glorio for the two basically only boss battles that you have in this game are definitely worth it. Now, can I say that the DLC itself is worth it just for those boss battles and cutscenes? No, but if you are a fan of Dragon Ball and you did buy this DLC, it's one that will not disappoint and let you down. Glorio seems to be a nice opponent, bringing in a Sasuke and a mixture of Kakashi type of fighting style. His lightning techniques are everything but weak. They're extremely strong, a bit challenging to get out the way. They cover a large part of the area when you're fighting in the ground mechanic type of setting, and it's one that definitely does its diligence, so you won't be disappointed with that one. The cutscenes on that battle was amazing as well, and that's a nice warm-up, elevating you to the battle with the Tamagami. This is the one where it really shined. I mean, the Tamagamis are already cool in my opinion, so to be able to face off against them and them to actually do him right, where you're battling against him and he's challenging. And the thing that I love the most about this DLC and these bosses were the simple fact that they kept getting more challenging, right? Like you went Super Saiyan and they had their own power-ups that they would do that would just make them, you know, even more of a challenge or just more impressive. Now, I know that's something that Kakarot has always done, but in this area, I think it's done a little bit more. It just seems like they gave him a little bit more oomph and more power to him, where it just engulfed you more so in the battle, made it more interesting and enticing to fight him. So this is the perfect way to go out and to close out your experience with the Daima DLC, also giving you cutscenes to the other episodes in which you're going to be exposed to once they released at the beginning of next year. Now, once you finish your cinematic battle with the Tamagami number 3, you're going to wonder what's left to do afterwards as far as post-game. And it does have a decent amount of post-game content. It really isn't a lot, but it's something that'll give you an additional hour or two, maybe even more, depending on if you're a completionist or not, or you just want to explore and see what's out there. You can always go to the encyclopedia in the settings and check and see exactly if you've captured everything. And they'll have question marks in the spots where it's empty. If there's creatures you haven't come across, hidden areas you haven't found, items you haven't located, and things of that sort. You can also do the battlegrounds where you could go up against tougher opponents for other rewards. There's still many skills to unlock, whether it's from Goku, his support characters, or the guest character Pansy. There's still quite a bit to do if you really want to complete the DLC to its fullest. Now, can I recommend this DLC? Yes and no. I could recommend it to Dragon Ball fans, but I can't really recommend it to someone who's, you know, new to Dragon Ball or who's really not sold on the series as it is, because it doesn't offer much, right? Even though it's a new realm that they've created, an open world experience, new cutscenes, characters, and this, that, and the other, it just really is enough to pull you in and say, look, this is an amazing DLC. It lacks content. Did I have an enjoyable time playing it? Absolutely. From beginning to end, I actually got into it maybe about 25 to 30% in. I began to get my flow back and how to play the game, getting used to the controls again, resetting my skill sets, or basically moving around my skills to, you know, button layouts that I'm more familiar with, and just, you know, getting back into the flow of Kakarot, because it's been 17 months since this game had any type of DLC or content. So yes, I had a good time playing this DLC, and I can't wait for the next one to return, where we get to play with Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, go up against the other Tamagamis, Majin Buu, Majin Buu, and Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and also get to play with them as adults in the Demon Realm. That's something I look forward to. So let me know what you guys think of this review, and if you guys agree or disagree in the comment section down below. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's your boy, oh no, not another reviewer, and I'm out.